When you're playing Smash Bros., one of the most important tools for any character is the recovery moves. Whether or not you can survive after getting launched off the stage is key to victory. So what are the best recovery moves? Well, there are actually quite a lot of good ones, so I narrowed it down to what I think are the 3 best from each game in the Smash series. A list like this is obviously very subjective, so after it's done, feel free to give your own take down in the comments. But right now, let's wind the clock back to 1999 and look at Super Smash Bros. On the Nintendo 64. First, let's talk about Kirby. His main recovery move is the Final Cutter, which on its own may not seem all that impressive. However, the main reason I chose Kirby is how well his recovery works in cooperation with his air movement. He has multiple jumps that help to increase his horizontal recovery, which he can then end off with the Final Cutter, giving him massive vertical recovery distance. Sure, the move is linear, so it can be guarded a bit easier, but compared to the other choices I had, I considered him to be in the top 3. Next is Mario, who actually has multiple options for recovery. His up special, Super Jump Punch, covers a modest distance very quickly. But what helps his recovery even more is his down special, Mario Tornado. This move gives him a vertical boost if you mash the B button during the attack, which can then be chained into his up special afterward. The great thing about this is that he's able to mix up his recovery to make it less predictable, which as a result makes it a little more difficult to edgeguard him. Both his up and down specials are multi-hits, which will help ward off foes if they get a little too close. I guess I should also give a shout out to Luigi, who shares an almost identical recovery to Mario, although his attacks are not multi-hits, which in my mind makes it a bit worse for his recovery potential. And as many Smash 64 players probably expected, I'm ending it off with Pikachu. While I don't think Pikachu's recovery is broken, it is far, far better than any other character's recovery in the game. Unlike Mario, he only has one recovery move to choose from, which is Quick Attack, and it surely lives up to its name. The simple fact that you can choose which direction this move goes makes it near impossible to predict, and the distance it goes makes edgeguarding with Pikachu safer than any other character. Oh, and by the way, Pikachu is also intangible during the startup of the attack, which adds even more to its safety. The only real downside is that it has no hitbox, but that's a very slight drawback to an all-around incredible move. Let's scoot on over to Melee now, and we'll kick it off with Peach. One of Peach's main strengths is how well she excels in the air, and when it comes to recovery, she has multiple options. First off, she can float. This floating technique can be used to either stall or give her a massive amount of horizontal distance. On top of that, she has her up special where she leaps upward with an umbrella and then slowly glides through the air. It gives her a decent vertical boost and adds even more to her horizontal distance, while also being a multi-hit as she's leaping. And the umbrella even retains a hitbox as she's falling. She can also close and then reopen the umbrella to mix up her recovery. And as if that wasn't already enough, her side special also gives her a small horizontal boost. It's nothing too special, but when combining all of these elements together, she has so many options for recovery that it's almost guaranteed she'll make it back to the stage. Now let's talk about a more obvious one, Jigglypuff. I'm sure everyone already knows how terrible Sing is. I mean, it's a death sentence if you use that move off stage and isn't meant for recovery. The move in the spotlight here is Pound. Jigglypuff already gets a lot of distance with her jumps alone, but adding a rising pound on top of that allows Jigglypuff to recover from pretty much anywhere, and she can stall off stage for so long, it might put your opponent to sleep even without the use of Sing. And since she can just freely attack between her jumps and pound, it's pretty safe too, and allows for a lot of mix-ups. And even though she has rollout, which can aid in her recovery, it's not a great choice since it'll put her into a free fall off stage. And honestly, Pound is just a much better option. And finally, there's Samus. Some people might be thinking right now, really? Samus? Well, if you're saying that, I'm guessing you haven't played Melee? Sure, her up special isn't anything crazy, and while her ball bombs help, they also aren't going to blow any minds. Nah, the real star of the show here is her grapple beam. This thing goes so far, and unlike in the most recent Smash games, it doesn't have to snap to the ledge to work. As long as it's hitting a part of the stage, it'll allow Samus to pull herself up. Her recovery is already good even without the grapple beam, but this tool really brings it to crazy heights. And since most of the characters on this roster won't be recovering from so far below the stage, it's safe to say that you'll most likely be making your way back up. and her up special with its multi-hit properties makes for a good defense in that situation. Okay, that about does it for Melee, so let's take a gander at Brawl. I'll just quickly go over Jigglypuff since she already popped up in the last game. She retains pretty much all of the same strengths as before, although her pound doesn't get her quite as much distance as it did last time, so there was a bit of a nerf there. But she got a buff to rollout, which will no longer put her into a freefall off stage. This is a pretty strong option, as attempting to challenge this move could be dangerous for your opponent, but either way, her recovery is still really great. Anyway, let's talk about everyone's favorite robot operating buddy, or Rob. His up special is impressive for a few reasons. First, it goes a very long distance while also giving the player a lot of control over the move. He can also act out of the move with an attack, which means he can fight back anyone trying to get close. He can then start up his recovery again to continue towards the ledge. Just being able to mix up the attack any way he wants, coupled with how much distance this move gets him, is why I think this recovery is so powerful. It isn't all powerful though, as the move essentially has a certain amount of fuel that has to recharge after use, which is done by simply standing on the ground for about 2 seconds. Basically, you can't use the move back to back and keep getting the same long distance. It would just get shorter and shorter and likely lead to your death. Okay, let's be real. All of you saw this one coming. Meta Knight. I mean, this is a character who could use any of his special moves as a recovery. He's simply too strong off stage, and his recovery is just plain broken. By far his most powerful option is his up special, which puts him into a glide. This gives him so much freedom in the air that you could simply glide from one side of the stage, go under the stage, to the other side of the stage, and still grab the ledge. Yeah, it's just a little overpowered. But we all know Meta Knight is overpowered in general, so I'm definitely not breaking any new ground here. Pit also has a great glide move in Brawl, but since Meta Knight has so many damn options to recover with, I figured he was the obvious choice. Like, why does this tornado move last for so long? Does it ever end? No? Okay, forget I asked. I'd probably be doing a disservice by not at least mentioning this one, so here's Snake. Snake has a pretty good up special, but wouldn't it be great if you could just keep doing it over and over? Well, you can. Just drop some explosives midair and blow yourself up. Oh no, don't worry, it's perfectly safe. After doing this, you can then use your up special again. Well, until you kill yourself. That's enough of Brawl, so let's skedaddle on over to Smash 4. There are so many characters in Smash 4, so it was pretty tough to pick a top 3. And I'm not even going to waste a spot on Meta Knight. Yeah, his recovery is still really good because he has so many options, but they removed his glide, so at least that's something. So let's talk about Sheep. Like many others I've listed, her recovery is mainly great because of how many options she has. Her up special starts off with an explosion that'll hurt nearby opponents, and then she'll travel whichever direction you choose, reappearing a decent distance away. While she's invisible, she can't be harmed, and as she's reappearing, there's a wind box that'll push opponents away, helping it to be even more safe. But that isn't all. Sheik's recovery is made even better with her down special, Bouncing Fish. This move grants her a large amount of horizontal distance, and can even be used as a more aggressive option while recovering. Or, because it doesn't put her into a free fall, you could then chain it into her up special. Both of these moves together give her a very strong recovery. She even has a wall cling to help her out if she really needs it, which she probably won't. Next on the list is Villager. Villager's up special has a crazy amount of verticality. You can climb very high with this move, and it also goes pretty darn fast. Definitely faster than Rob. But unlike Rob, Villager can't act out of this move with an attack. He can cancel the move, but after that he'll drop into a free fall. To help put some pressure on the opponent, he has his side special, where he can either shoot out a Lloyd rocket or ride on it back to the stage. Personally, I feel like shooting out the rocket to cover the ledge and then do your up special is typically the best course of action. Unfortunately, if both of Villager's balloons are popped, it's certain death, but this is easier said than done. And if Villager himself is attacked, he can just use his recovery again. It also operates on a similar fuel-like system that Rob had, so you can't just spam the move over and over and get the same results. Regardless, it's still great. I'm not sure how popular this next choice is, but I went with Zero Suit Samus. Her up special might not be anything too amazing, but her other options are just fantastic. First is her down special. This move is essentially a big third jump. and it comes out so quick that your opponent likely won't ever be prepared for it. This move alone makes her incredibly hard to edgeguard. It doesn't even put her into a free fall, so you can still use her up special afterward if needed. But on top of that, she also has an amazing tether recovery, which can be activated with either a grab mid-air or her side special. I'm astonished at how far away her whip will reach the ledge. All of these options give her so much mix-up potential and make her, in my opinion, pretty much impossible to edgeguard. If you're facing a good Zero Suit Samus player, there's no way you're edgeguarding them unless you get some crazy lucky reads. Well, let's move on to the final game now, Smash Ultimate. With 10 billion characters to choose from, and many of them having good recoveries, it was even harder to choose 3 than the last game. But here's what I came up with. Oh, and again, I'm not counting Meta Knight, but yes, his recovery is still great. Snake also returned to blow himself to Kingdom Come, so there's that too. But I want to talk about some new stuff instead of beating a dead horse. And by that I mean, let's talk about Pikachu. Okay, maybe that's a little hypocritical. I mean, yeah, I talked about him earlier, but his recovery in Ultimate is so damn good it's impossible to ignore. Quick Attack is still great, but it was made even a little better after Smash 64 since it was given a hitbox. But it's still super fast and can go in any direction. So yeah, good luck ever predicting where he's going with this one. On top of that, his side special also gives him a very hefty horizontal boost. It can be charged up to go faster and longer, but it doesn't even really need it when recovering. This move is a lot more linear, so it's at least more feasible to guard against. But the simple fact Pikachu can do his Thunder attack from way below the stage and still recover from it is some scary stuff. Pikachu's ability to edge guard other characters and still safely make it back to the stage is one of his strongest traits. And when it comes to Ultimate, he's definitely near the top in that respect. Next up is Pac-Man. This is one of those characters that can recover so easily that it's almost annoying. His up special gives him a ton of vertical distance, as long as you bounce on his trampoline 3 times, which is very hard to gank since the jumps off the trampoline have unblockable hitboxes. But layered on top of that is his crazy good side special, which basically allows him to choose whatever direction he wants to fly a massive amount of distance in. And after he eats his power pellet during this move, he gains armor, which means he can take a pretty heavy blow without even flinching. And even though this one is not really a recovery move, I'd like to throw in his down special too. It helps him to stall for a moment mid-air, and if there is anyone trying to come up from below, it's a great defensive technique. There's just so much to choose from with his recovery, and it all gives him so much distance and feels so safe that it's hard to find any real downsides to it. I guess his pellet can be attacked during his side special, which will interrupt the move, but aside from that, it's all just great for recovering. The final big one I want to talk about is Inkling. This Squid Kid's up special launches them straight up to cover a very large distance, although the horizontal coverage, while not bad, isn't anything too special. The main reason I think this move is so powerful is how hard it makes Inkling to gank. First off, if you get too close to Inkling, they can just initiate the attack, which has a hitbox right at the start which will knock the opponent away. And if they're really unlucky, they will be the one getting ganked. So it's really unsafe to approach the Inkling off stage, especially when they're taking an angle from below the ledge. Naturally, that means you'd want to keep your distance and attack after Inkling starts the move. Well, that's very difficult too, because of how fast Inkling travels upwards. You can also use the Inkling's roller midair to help mix up their recovery, since it can be cancelled into a hop that basically gives them another small jump. Or you could use it towards the stage as a more aggressive option. Their up special is what's really in the spotlight though. Having such a simple but deadly up special that makes you dangerous to approach is why I think they have such a great recovery. Not to mention, this move has a hitbox when landing on the stage too, so an opponent will have to react accordingly if they really want to punish it, which is entirely possible if you know what you're doing. And for the record, I'm not saying this is the best recovery in the game. This is just one of the 3 that I thought was really good. Anyway, those are my top 3, but I do have a few honorable mentions. First is King K. Rool. His up special is admittedly very good, and hard to gank due to the propeller on his head flicking away anyone above him. But it's also his only recovery option and can still be attacked if you get the right angle on him. Also, if he lands on the stage with it, he's easily punished. Next is Hero's Zoom move. It's another very good recovery move. but since it relies on RNG to show up, and also requires a certain amount of MP, and puts him at a random part of the stage, well, I just thought there were too many random factors involved. And finally, Mewtwo's Teleport. I thought very hard and long about this one, and I think it could easily make anyone's top 3. It's a very safe move and covers a long distance, while also making Mewtwo invulnerable during it. You can just quickly snap to the ledge, which makes it very safe. But like I said, there are just so many characters in Ultimate, it was hard to pick a top 3. So that's my list. There are a lot of great recoveries across the Smash series, but I think what really makes some of these my favorites is how safe they feel. When you get thrown off the stage and have access to moves that can easily bring you back to solid ground, even when facing characters that excel at ganking, well, that's how you know that character has a strong recovery. Outside of Meta Knight, I wouldn't really say that any character has a perfect recovery, but there are some that come very, very close. But as I said before, feel free to post your own list down below, and remember to be kind to one another. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you again soon. Catch you later.